On September 24, 2015, a group of cyclists rode past the Trillium Lake trailhead in the Mount Hood National Forest in Oregon. There, they spotted a white 2003 Ford F-150 and immediately notified the police that there was a deceased man sitting behind the wheel. His name was Frank Wilson, and he had been shot twice. While there are a lot of details about the crime known to police, not a lot of those details have been made public. But more so, there's a lot more details that the police do not know. But before we get started, I'm going to ask you to lightly knock the dust off the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss more Oregon adventures and stories just like this one. Frank Wilson was 68 years old. He was a Vietnam veteran. He was the president of Chasco Inc., a business corporation in Clackamas, Oregon. Frank also owned Clackamas Tire and Brake, a business he had built from the ground up. During the summer of 2015, Frank was diagnosed with heart disease. He was already diabetic and had a few other medical concerns. After his heart disease diagnosis, Frank began to struggle with the idea of retiring. He loved his family and he loved his job. He had worked very hard since starting his business in 1997. Around 6:30 p.m. on September 22, 2015, Frank spoke to members of his family on the phone. During that call, members of his family described him as being uncharacteristically cold and distant. That was the last time they would speak with Frank Wilson. During the next 24 hours, his family tried several times to reach him with no success. In the early evening hours of September 23, 2015, a missing endangered persons report was filed with the Gresham Police Department. The Gresham Police would release a request to the public to help find Frank Wilson. The family feared he was having an emotional and mental breakdown due to his medical conditions and the thought of retiring. Trillium Lake was a place that Frank felt comfortable. He had gone there many times with his family. It was a place that he could go during times of stress and allow the sights, the sounds, and the smells of nature to clear his mind. Less than 12 hours after the missing report was filed, Frank was found in his truck parked at the Trillium Lake. He had been shot twice. At first glance, investigators thought Frank Wilson went to Trillium Lake to kill himself. The distant and uncharacteristic behavior in the days prior led police to believe he left home with the intent of not coming back. However, no gun was found in or near the truck, and the angle of the gunshot wounds didn't add up. The death was immediately labeled as suspicious. Frank had been shot once in the left shoulder and another shot in his chest. That last shot would be the cause of his death. While there were clues on the scene, none of them actually helped investigators. The only certain thing investigators had was Frank Wilson's actual time of death. A Fitbit is a wristwatch-like device that measures daily steps, heart rate, and is used to track a person's physical fitness. Frank Wilson's Fitbit recorded the exact moment his heart stopped beating, and for the first time in Oregon history, a Fitbit was used to determine the time of death. According to the Fitbit, Frank died on September 23, 2015. The exact time of death has not been publicly released since this is an ongoing police investigation. 6 days after Frank was found, a gun was found approximately 500 yards from where Frank was sitting in his truck. The type of gun and caliber have not been publicly released, but the blood found on the gun was determined to be Frank's blood, and ballistics analysis showed that this gun was the gun that killed him. It should also be noted that Frank did have an Oregon concealed carry permit and did often carry a firearm with him. However, police have not revealed whether the gun found at the crime scene belonged to Frank. One of the biggest problems with this investigation is that US Highway 26 was under construction at the time. There was heavy equipment operating that would have concealed the sound of gunshots. Police investigated and interviewed people at a nearby transient camp, but were unable to pull any useful leads. Police do believe that someone altered the crime scene after Frank's death. What exactly was done to the crime scene or what led police to believe this has not been publicly released. It has been 7 years since Frank Wilson died, and investigators are no closer to discovering who killed him and why. If you do have any information at all concerning Frank Wilson, please contact the Gresham Police Department or Oregon Crime Stoppers at the phone numbers listed below. Thank you for watching this video. If you know of any Oregon mysteries you'd like to see covered, leave me a brief description in the comments below. Until then, subscribe to this channel for more Oregon stories and adventures just like this one.